Then we have fixed term or indefinite contracts. Both are possible. You can give an employee, a first new employee to a company, both a fixed term contract or an indefinite contract. But also our advice here would be to start off with a fixed term. You never know if there's a good match between the company and the employee. And a fixed term contract just gives you much more flexibility to end the contract or let the contract automatically end if you're not very pleased with the performance. And termination is possible, however, it's a quite complex procedure, or could be quite complex, and an automatic end date is much easier in that regard. So there are some rules on how many fixed-term contracts you can give an employee. At this moment, you can give an employee 3 fixed-term contracts, and the 4th one will then be a contract for an indefinite period of time. For a contract to be consecutive, the time in between the contracts may not be less than 6 months. So it's not possible to give an employee 2 contracts for in total 22 months and then think, okay, well, I'm just going to have him not employed for 1 month because he also wants that, he wants to go on holiday, and I'll re-employ him, and then the chain is broken. That is not possible. There would need to be a total amount of 6 months in between. The gap needs to be 6 months before you can start again at the beginning of the chain. And the total duration, that's the last bullet point, is very important as well. Because you cannot give 3 contracts for 3 years each, having nine years of contracts. The total duration may not extend to 36 months. Another point which is important is that the contracts that you offer are usually offered here with a Dutch entity, but also take into consideration if someone has been employed by the parent company before, because the parent company could be seen as a consecutive employer as well, and the duration employed there could be seen as part of the chain and needs to be taken into consideration. We always advise to give a fixed-term contract, but it's not always possible. Sometimes if you hire someone, that person will negotiate an indefinite contract because they are, for example, leaving a very good other position in another company, and they would only accept the offer if it's an indefinite contract. So in that case, it's up to just weigh the risks if it's worth it. And there is a probation period as well, so you can hopefully do something with that. Another thing to remember, in 2020 there will also be a benefit. The government is really trying to get as many long-term duration contracts in place, and the benefit they thought of, or they thought would work, I don't know if it's going to work, would be that the unemployment premiums the company has to pay are going to be lower if an employee is on an indefinite contract. So the longer you keep someone on a fixed-term contract, the higher that part of the employer costs will be. Very important is also that for this indefinite contract, you need proof in a written form. So a verbally agreed upon indefinite contract will not help in this regard. So you really need to be able to show proof of an indefinite contract. So that is something to think about in 2020 as well, that it might be interesting to offer in indefinite contracts sooner and not all the way at the end of the 36 months.